Hello everyone, what do you think I've got here? I've opened the box and I'm going to pour myself out a bowl of something. Can you tell what it is inside this box? I'm going to give you 10 guesses. What's inside this box? Did you guess a sugar-coated maize-based cereal sold to you by an anthropomorphic tiger? Did you? Was that your guess? Well, we'll see. Can't wait for whatever's in this box. I hope it's a maize-based cereal with sugar coating. Oh no, snakes and potatoes! My dad always says, never assume, because you'll make an ass of you and me. You make an ass of you and I though, when you don't pay enough attention to your game's you and I. UI. User interface. Seriously, that's why I did all that. That's for that. I did all that for that. Video game UI is such a broad topic. It encompasses so many different things, from menu design right through to in-game UI. So I'm not going to be talking about everything. In fact, I'm only going to be scratching the surface. What I'm going to be talking about today is just some of the fundamentals of UX theory. Now when I say UI, I'm talking about UI in the broadest sense. You might hear people refer to it as GUI or UX. I refer to it as UI. GUI or GUI is General User Interface, and UX is User Experience. They're not exactly synonymous, okay? UX, the user experience side, if someone says that they're a user experience designer, that usually means that they're more on the design side of things. They're more focused on the back end, how things link to one another, why when you press a button a series of events occurs, menu flows, why the menu flows that way. When you're talking about a UI artist, those guys are more involved with the aesthetics. So does the button animate? Why does it flash? What shape is it? And GUI, General User Interface, just encompasses kind of both disciplines, and the two disciplines kind of meld together anyway. You can't do one without the other. But the three topics we're going to be talking about in this video, they're more on the theory side of things. We're not going to get too much into the nitty-gritty colour theory, legibility techniques, good menu flow. You know, we're not going to be talking about those kind of things. We're just going to be talking about the three kind of basic fundamental theory topics. So these three topics are the three main types of in-game UI and the strengths and weaknesses of each of them. Increment choice, why would you choose a certain way to convey a resource on the screen? And thirdly, a wee bit about player psychology and screen hierarchy. So to those of you that know a little bit about game UI already, this will maybe be a bit perfunctory and basic, but if you're getting into it brand new and you'd like to know a little bit more about how to progress in UI, this is a good place to start. You know, these topics will serve you well moving forward. Now UI gets a bit of a bad rep. Why? Why does it get a bit of a bad rep? I don't know. Some people think it's boring. I don't think it's boring. Do you think being the bridge between the player and the game world is a boring thing? You're like a translator between two different worlds. That's pretty cool. I mean, I've never been a translator before because I think I know like basic transactional German, Spanish and Japanese. ¿Cuánto cuesta las helados de fresa? How much is the strawberry ice cream? Have you ever wondered why the crosshair's in the middle? Probably not, eh? You probably just looked at this and you thought, it's a shooting game, it's an FPS. The crosshair automatically sits in the middle of the screen. Basic stuff, right? But you know, that actually epitomizes the point I'm trying to make, which I haven't told you yet. So I should probably start with that. Screen priority is a very important subject regarding UI, UX, GUI. It's important because you need to know, as someone who is creating UI, you need to know the best way of conveying vital pieces of information in which order and in a way that doesn't
encroach on the player's space, because this is sacred. The screen is your daddy. The screen is your biological paternal figure. You were born of a telly. Should have really written this bit, eh? No, every part of the screen is valuable. It has inherent value. However, not all of the screen is regarded equally. You see, the center is, unsurprisingly, the most important part. It's where your eyes are drawn to. Just naturally, your eyes are drawn to the center of the screen. You probably didn't know that you did it, but your eyes are automatically drawn to the center of the screen, and then you tend to radiate your vision outwards from there. There's a few different ways that there's research that shows that some people like to read the center of the screen and then go immediately to the top. Some people like to read the screen from the center and then kind of radiate out in almost like a helical pattern. But the center is always where you look at, and that's why the most important piece of information should be there at all times. For a shooting game, that's your crosshair. I mean, there's no reason why the crosshair couldn't be elsewhere. If your character was standing here, there'd be more space over here, so why not put it there? We put it there because that's where we expect to look at all times. This is your target, this is your crosshair. In a game like Overwatch, there's more information to convey. So this is Zarya, or Zarya's hand. Zarya is a weightlifter. It's irrelevant, I just thought I'd bring it up because I'm a bit of a myself, you know. But you probably already noticed that there's another piece of information on this crosshair, and that's because Zarya, her primary resource is energy. She can amass energy by absorbing attacks. So I will walk forward and I will absorb a couple of attacks there. And you see, this information is right there on the reticle, on the crosshair. Because you as a player, that's the most important piece of information that you will need to know beyond, there's the person shooting me, I need to shoot back at them. How much energy do I have to gauge this battle properly? And that's why it's on the crosshair. So we already know that the center of the screen is the most important place to put any UI element, although we should be using it sparingly, only for the most critical information, things that have to be shown on screen all the time. Your crosshair, a vital piece of resource information, something that is integral to the gameplay, should be in the middle. We should be looking to minimize that, obviously. But when you think about HUD, you immediately think of bars in the corner. Yeah, that's where people default to, is going, oh, I'll put my health bar in a corner. Why? And you should always ask that. Why is it in the corner? Why is it a bar? You know? Why am I? Here we've got Dragon Ball Z. There's a guy in my school who called it Dragon Ball Z. We're not friends anymore. Dragon, rock the Dragon Ball Z. Not all corners, however, are equal. And this is something that we learn through player psychology and through player data from how players read the screen. And this has a lot to do with where you live as well. There's a lot of evidence to show that because people in the West read books on most forms of media left to right and top to bottom, we tend to, people in the West, they read the screen the same way. So if the center is the most important and all the kind of area beyond that center is secondary, then people in the West would read top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. People in Japan might read it the opposite way, right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. And so we should give them the same kind of priority. That's speaking in general terms, right? That's speaking in general terms. Because some game genres even train you to think of UI in a completely different way. MMORPGs, for example, they have a ton of information with a lot of cooldowns, and that's why they bring that UI usually to the bottom of the screen with a lot of different icons, and they situate your character, who you need to look at as well quite a lot, quite low down on the screen. you probably, I don't know if you noticed that before, but your character is low down on the screen, so you don't have as much eye distance to travel to the icons in the hotbar. And even though you might read information like this, dum, 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 when your eyes are fixated on a certain point, you generally, I'm talking in a general sense again, read information from the extremities, from the periphery into the center. So, and that's perfect display. This is why health bars in fighting games deplete from the outside inwards, as opposed to Krillin's health bar depleting that way and Frieza's health bar depleting that way as well. They deplete into the center because both players automatically, instinctively read from the outside in. You see, I bet you didn't even think there was going to be any kind of psychological elements in there, but it's just instinctive. People tend to read information in this way. What's most fascinating to me is that when you take someone that doesn't play games, that isn't a gamer, and you give them the same information on the screen, it's been shown that these people tend to read the information completely differently, but we as gamers read this as game shorthand. We assume that the health bars will deplete into the center because the center is God, you know. We assume that the information most pertinent to us will be right there in that little middle circle because that's where our primary resource should be. People that don't play games don't presume that to be the case, and so that's why you find if you hand your mum a pad and you ask her to read health bars, she might read it like this. You know, like she's reading a maths textbook or Chat. I don't know the magazines that your mum reads. My mum doesn't read any kind of magazine. She just kind of skills and shouts at folk. Sorry, mum. Love you. So the very first type of UI. How good was Crackdown? Hey, how many people bought Crackdown for the Halo 3 beta? Shocker. Bet hardly any folk actually played this as well, and it's amazing. So, of the three main types of UI, the first that we'll be looking at is non-diegetic UI. And that's why I've loaded up Crackdown, so we can have a look at an example of non-diegetic UI. But, it's muted, right? But I distinctly remember the title theme to this being like, you think I'm going mental, don't you? Right, listen, right. I'm going to unmute this in a second, right? So a good example of non-diegetic UI is the HUD, heads-up display. This is probably what you think of most traditionally when people say UI, in-game UI, is the non-diegetic stuff. And an easy way to tell if it's non-diegetic UI is imagine inside of the TV, imagine I'm putting my hand in there, like a 90s movie or something. That's the game world through here. I'm here beyond. And everything in the non-diegetic UI exists on the window pane between us, okay? He can't look through the screen and see the HUD. He can't see that. That's not part of his world. It's not part of our world either. It exists in between. It's on its own plane. It's like our little visor, our little heads-up display for that world. When Ryu's fighting Zangief, right? And Zangief that's how I pronounce it, by the way, Zangief. Don't call me right, don't say that, right? Some folk call him Zangief, right? What do you call him? Zangief. Screw you. When he looks over at the screen after taking a spinning pile driver and he looks toward our screen and he sees that he's taking a hold, he can't see the health bar. That's not part of his world, that's part of a world between. Likewise, he can't look through the screen and see us. I think I'm having a wee existential crisis here. Can he see us? What does Ryu think of me? Does he think I'm alright? What if he fancies me? Don't I think I want a relationship with Ryu? I'm open-minded, like, but all he does is fight. He'd have no time for me. Just leave me home all day. Going away to train for the world tournament. I like to cuddle. He's not going to have any time for me. Some people are actually quite down on non-diegetic UI, but it has some real benefits. For starters, consistency. Now, consistency is really important when it comes to UI because you want your player to have the relevant information available to them, the stuff that they really need to see there, immediately and permanently. If it's a really fast-paced game and you need to know how much health you have, it's a good idea for it to be part of a non-diegetic UI and for it to be on the screen quite prominent and bold. So there you go, non-diegetic UI. Most types of traditional game UI are non-diegetic. By being involved in UI, you get to facilitate the player's enjoyment by allowing them the information that they need in a clear and concise manner. You get to convey all the mechanics of the game, or all the pertinent mechanics of the game, in a very clear and abbreviated way, really. You have to give the player that shorthand that they need to be able to traverse the game world in a really instinctive way. You want them to press through the game and not realise that they've had their hand held the whole time. I always love the announcer in Crazy Taxi, because he always sounds like he's like away on cocaine or something.
Make some crazy money. Let's make some crazy money. Let's make some crazy money.
So we've got our non-diegetic UI again here, you see, in Crazy Taxi. Good use. Timer, you need to know how much time you've got. Cache, you know, less important, but it's still there all the time. D, because you need to know when you've got the D. But there's another type of UI in this screenshot, and that's spatial UI. And I especially like it. This is why folk cross the street when they see me now, isn't it? Because I keep on doing stuff like that. So, spatial UI is UI, user interface elements that are placed in world, in the game world, in green. What's his name? Like I'm sure it's Axel. I'm sure his name's Axel. Like, because he's like a 90s guy, it'll be like Axel Thunderfield. Axel Thunderfield. Yeah, Axel can't see the bobbing, enormous, terrifying burgundy dollar signs and the kind of perimeter strips there. He can't see them. They're in his world, but he can't see them. These are for our benefit, for the player's benefit. Spatial UI it exists within the game space, but it's not for the game characters. It's usually used as a navigational tool, as a way to show you where to go next. So whilst you're driving around to Offspring, to the song that's like, yeah, 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 you know how far away your fare is, because the spatial UI appears, bobs, gets larger as you approach it. Like in Assassin's Creed, yeah? Ezio doesn't know where he's going because he's like, oh, I'll just follow the flying rhombus. He's Italian, isn't he? Is he Italian? Ezio del Auditore. Yeah, that's my Italian accent. I'm vaguely European. I'm not very good at accents, alright? The point is, the floating dollar signs, they're for our benefit. They're not for actual thunder rods. So, in summary, spatial UI exists within the game world, as part of the game's world, but not for the game characters, not for their benefit. It's for us gamers, because we're the best and everyone loves us, except people on GameFAQs who hate everything. So the third and final main type of UI that you would learn to create is the diegetic UI. It's probably the one that people find the most stylish and cool, because it exists within the game world, except these elements exist for the characters and the players to see. So it's part of both of our worlds. Technically it's part of their world, it's their world's UI, but we as a player are informed by it. So it works for both of us, really. In the Metro series, Artyom, the protagonist, he has a number of different instruments that he carries around with him, and one of them is a clipboard. It's his clipboard, he owns it. He just takes it out and he shows it to the camera, and you see the map on there. So in a way, that's us, the player, and us, Artyom, looking at the same clipboard. And as you can see here, he also has a little watch which shows the time left. I believe that's to show how much air he's got left. So that's an important resource that he needs to see at all times, because air's quite nice. Everyone likes a wee bit of air, bit of fresh, clean air. Air without the cove, dirty cove. Don't want air with the cove in it. Want some of that fresh wrist air. So yeah, another good example of diegetic UI are the Dead Space series, where Isaac has the health bar down his spine. That's part of his suit. He owns that suit. That's his. And No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky has the UI on their backpacks. Once again, that's their backpacks. So the elements exist in their game world for them to look at, and we're just kind of along for the ride. We're informed by it. Going back to what I said in the non-diegetic UI section, one of the biggest shortfalls of diegetic UI is that it tends to be impermanent. If, like Artyom here, he's got his wrist counter there, it's very immersive. That's one of the best things about it, is that it's really immersive. But as soon as he goes, oh, I'm going to scratch my backside, like that, you can't see it. It's no longer there. He had an ammo counter on the gun in Halo. That's another good type of diegetic UI. The assault rifle shows how many bullets are left on it. If Master Chief puts it down to try and eat a cornetto or a feast, or a Calippo, or a 99, or a mint feast, or a magnum, or an almond magnum. What was I talking about? It's impermanent, so whatever the diegetic UI is on, especially in a first-person game where the action's so close to the hands where the diegetic elements might be, as soon as you move them out of the camera, the UI is gone. You can't see it, you don't know what the information is. And that's why a lot of really, really good game UI makes use of all three, or two of the three types, because they all have strengths and weaknesses. Too much spatial UI and your game looks really cluttered. It's just a sea of icons in the play space. Too much of the non-diegetic UI and the screen is awash with information, and you're looking through a little pinhole going like, where's the actual gameplay? Too much diegetic UI and you lose sight of the most important information when you might need it the most. So we've talked about all the different types of, the main different types of UI, a wee bit about player psychology and the way that we read the screen hierarchy. And so the last UI topic I'm going to speak to you today, there's plenty more to talk about, but for now, the last one I'm going to speak about is choice of increment. And this one's a wee bit simple, but it just helps you to open your mind up a bit and make you question every choice that you make. How many games have you played with a health bar? Some. Probably some, right? How many games have you played with pips? Pips being little visual indicators denoting a single hit of health. So that would be like Zelda's hearts. When you take a hit, a heart depletes. Like Gunstar Heroes, we've got a numerical counter here. Why do we choose these pieces of information? Why do we choose to convey a resource this way? And in this example, we're using health. But why would you choose this number to signify your health? In Gunstar Heroes, why isn't it a bar? Why isn't it a set of pips? Why isn't it a big old percentage? Well, I suppose it's out of 100, so it's kind of a percentage, but this is all informed by your game's design. So this is why I was saying to you that the aesthetics and the design have to go hand in hand, because they influence the best means of conveyance. When you're conveying your information, you want it to be snappy. You want it to be like, oh, I've got this much health left. In a game where you can only take one hit before you die, is it really necessary to have a health bar at all? If you can only take 2 hits before you die, does it need to be a percentage-based counter? If every hit takes off 50% damage, that's a lot of screen space to take up just to show you've got two hits before you die. That's why all of these different types of increment are are available. In a game like Gunstar Heroes here, I'll move to the right, I'll take a bunch of hits. Oh, how good's Gunstar Heroes? Right, there you go, I just got kicked in the willy, right? That took off 6 health because that was a strong hit, and looks like punches do roughly the same. Okay, so I got shot there, and that took off more. It makes more sense for a game with a lot of different types of damage. Yeah, you know, some things take off 6, some things take off 10, that you'd have a numerical counter. It doesn't make a lot of sense for that to be pips, because there would be so many pips it'd be stretched all the way across the screen. This is a really brief one because I think you already know what I'm getting at. It is questioning every decision that you make. What type of UI am I going to use and why? What kind of increment am I going to use and why? Where on the screen am I going to place it and why? I am stunned at the amount of people that just go, oh, it's the health counter, I'll put it in the top left hand corner, or I'll put it in the bottom left hand corner, and it'll be a bar. And I ask, did it need to be a health bar in the first place? Could it have been something diegetic? I mean, I can find that it sounds like I'm having really boring conversations with people, but honestly, people are mostly boring. I'm mostly boring. I don't talk about UI all day. I'm just doing it for your benefit, mostly for mine because I'm narcissistic. And as everyone loves homework, I thought I'd give you a wee assignment. So now that you know the types of UI, the hierarchy of information on the screen, and a little bit more of the mindset behind incremental choice. Imagine your character, we're playing a fictitious game, and your character, well, imagine he's a bald guy with a little rubbishy ginger beard, but he's so handsome, this guy, right? He's so handsome. And he's got this gun which fires an inflatable Alan Sugar, right? It fires inflatable Alan Sugars, and that's his weapon. How would you convey that on the screen? Imagine he can only use it 3 times before it needs to recharge, and you need to convey the fact that it can recharge. How would you convey that UI? That's my question to you. No right answer. I just want to hear what you think. Which type of UI would you choose? Would you choose diegetic, non-diegetic? Would you choose spatial? What kind of incremental counter would you choose? Would you choose pips or a meter or a percentage? And where would you place it on the screen? And for what reason? And for what reason? And for what reason? You always have to ask why. Guy with an inflatable Alan Sugar pistol, 3 shots before it has to recharge, and you need to show that it can recharge. How would you do that? Make sure to give me your answers in the comments below, or tweet me. The new place to tweet is Memo Tweets. If you use the old one, I'll still get it. It'll be redirected, but that's my new one for now. Before I go, I have to say I'm super heartened by the amount of amazing videos that Cake Bash has gotten over the past couple of weeks. We did have a demo. The demo was available to play for 1 week on Steam. It got fantastic feedback. It's funny, Mixar, Lucky Merc, Glover's Games, Gaijin Hunter, K-Sloppy Gamer, and even What Culture. You guys are all stars. Thank you so much for covering Cake Bash, and I really look forward to seeing you playing when the game comes out later this year. Guys, it has been an absolute pleasure as always. Ring the bell, press the prod the walrus, make a paper mache the salami, strum the pheasant, mash the custard creams. I don't know what it is anymore. I don't even know. So many things to do on YouTube. So annoying.